So as you can see, the design of the MacBook Air is basically amazing. It's carved from a single piece of aluminium or aluminum, and that's called the unibody. As you can see, the bottom's metal, top's metal. Basically, the whole thing is metal. So that's a very nice aspect of its design. Also, a nice aspect of the MacBook Air's design is just how thin it is. As you can see from the looking straight on, it is amazingly thin. And if you look at the side, it's like a wedge shape. It's a little bit thick at the back, like it's not thick, the whole thing's not thick, but starts off thicker at the back and tapers down to an extremely thin point. Very, very beautiful design on the MacBook Air. It just opens up very easily, and that reveals its beautiful screen. This is a 1366 by 768 screen. It's actually higher resolution than the MacBook Pros out there. So, beautiful screen. Netbooks typically have much worse screens. And of course you get OS 10. Along with OS 10 comes iLife. So you have a whole suite of photo apps, movie apps, music creation apps, whatever you name it, you've got it. So yeah. Along with the design of the MacBook Air, you have the full-size keyboard with slightly shorter function keys, but that's fine. The keyboard's actually full-size. And a very generous trackpad. It's a little shorter than the other MacBooks, but come on, find any other like Windows counterpart that has a trackpad that big. And of course, also part of the design, it tapers down to an extremely thin point. So that is the design front of the MacBook Air. Now moving on to the design of a typical netbook, or shall we say, lack of a design. It's reasonably thick, quite thick. Has this honking battery coming out the back, and a lot of the time has ports hanging out the back, and it looks very, very messy and horrible. Also on the back there's lots of stickers and fans and God knows what else, which makes it look very ugly. Also on the top it has this blue finish which looks very which doesn't look anywhere near as nice as the metal on the MacBook Air. Okay, so going around the design of the inside of the netbook, this netbook is actually the Lenovo Mini 10, or S10 to be precise. As you can see, it has an extremely thick border compared to the MacBook Air, which looks quite horrible, and it has a much smaller screen, 10 inches compared to 11.6. Yeah, and this looks quite horrible, as you can see, not too nice. Also, the screen's a lot worse resolution than most netbooks. And let's get on to the keyboard and the trackpad. As you can see, the keyboard is miniature, and the trackpad, oh God knows what to say about the trackpad. The trackpad has 5 buttons, count of 5 buttons. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. This is weird and, quite frankly, horrible to use. You'll also find a very small, tiny trackpad which isn't clickable, unlike all of Apple's laptops. Also, you'll find this red nipple thing, which is supposed to act as a secondary mouse. It's almost as if they're saying the trackpad is not good enough. So yeah, that's the quote design or lack of design of most netbooks. First, we'll talk about the expandability of the netbooks. Going along the left-hand side of the Lenovo S10, this is the netbook that I have. 2 USB ports, Ethernet, headset jack. Going around the back, you have VGA out, and your power for charging. Going around the right-hand side, an SD card slot, USB port, and a Kingston lock slot. As you can see, you can fit a few more things on a netbook, because it is a lot thicker than the MacBook Air. Going around the left-hand side of the MacBook Air, you have the MagSafe, which is a very convenient charging method for Macs. If you trip over the cord, basically the cord comes out, not your laptop. USB 2 port, headset jack, and microphone. Going around to the right hand side, you have a mini display. This can adapt to HDMI, DVI, VGA, or S-Video. And actually this Mac can, if you get a HDMI adapter, it will actually carry audio out to your TV, which is very nice. And your second USB 2. As you can see, there's no SD card slot on the 11, that's only present on the 13. That's basically the only unfortunate thing, because you don't need Ethernet on an ultra portable. Like, that's why you have an ultra portable. Come on. onto performance. Most netbooks have a 1.6 gigahertz Intel Atom processor, like this one, and 2 gigs of RAM. Okay, so yeah, and they typically have about 160 gig hard drives, or 250 gig hard drives. So that's performance on that. Pretty terrible. Intel Atoms suck. Okay, now onto performance of the MacBook Air. The MacBook Air comes standard with 2 gigs of RAM. This model has 4 gigs of RAM. There's no way of upgrading the RAM on most netbooks. It's only 2 gigs, so RAM goes to the MacBook Air as it can be ordered with 4. Also, the MacBook Air has 1.4 GHz Intel Core 2 Duo, not Atom. So it's a dual core CPU, which is very nice. This is a full CPU. It's nice and fast, particularly for a notebook that small. So it has double the RAM if you order it, which I recommend you do. I wouldn't buy a MacBook Air with 2 gigs of RAM. So it has 4 gigs of RAM, dual core Core 2 Duo processor, and 64 gigs or 128 of flash storage. Now it may not be as much as the hard drive in the netbook, but guess what? It's a damn well a lot faster. You can literally turn this thing on in like 11 to 15 seconds. Let's go ahead and do a restart and you can see how long this takes. We'll just hit restart. We'll go ahead and hit enter. And keeping in mind most netbooks take 2 minutes to turn on once everything's before you can even touch them. So that must have been like 10 seconds or something, and already you're on the internet browsing the web. So as you can see, the performance for its size, seriously, there's probably no better performer than the MacBook Air. Oh, and the graphics. The netbook has some terrible integrated Intel graphics or something really poor. The MacBook Air has an NVIDIA 320M graphics card. That is a full-size notebook class graphics card. That's what they use in the MacBooks and the MacBook Pros. So basically you have a little laptop with you. This is not a netbook, this is a laptop. On a final note, price. Netbooks are about, what, like $300 to $600. The MacBook Air is about $1,000-ish. Once you upgrade it to 4 gigs of RAM, maybe $1,200, $1,100, depending what country you're in. So the MacBook Air is more expensive, but that's because it's a laptop, not a netbook. If you want a portable, if you want an extremely portable notebook, MacBook Air. If you want a terrible, cheap netbook which can't handle a damn thing and is so terribly slow, get a netbook. So anyway, YouTube, this has been iTech MacBooks. Expect a full review of my MacBook Air, as I'm absolutely loving it. And I'll see you guys in the next video.